Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Battlefield 1. I played it on the Xbox One, it's available on PC, PS4, everything else pretty much. Battlefield 1 is very unique in that it's a World War I game, which you don't see that often, and its story is not a continuous story, which I thought was pretty cool. The story is actually a bunch of short stories. They're called the war stories. They're just small events focusing on certain people throughout World War I. I liked that. I thought it was cool and unique. I like the different stories, and I think this game does a really good job of reminding people that war is not necessarily a game, that it's a real event, it's real lives. And I know it's a video game, but it does do a fairly serviceable job of reminding people that war is a horrific thing. And admittedly, that might be a little heavy for some people who may just be out being like, hey, I just want a cool game where I get to go and shoot shit. So that could be a little heavy for folks like that, but I do think that it's cool and it's important. And it does that in a way that like Call of Duty never really has. I mean, Call of Duty has had its like serious moments like the nuke going off in COD 4, but this is different. This is on a more personal human level, or at least that's how it felt to me. And in the single player, the voice acting is actually really good. I think obviously that matters a lot because you're trying to tell these stories, and if the voiceover work is terrible, well then it's hard to believe it. Then you've got the gameplay, which is your basic first-person shooter gameplay. There are a few unique elements in this game, like you can find boxes that will basically change your entire getup. You can end up in like a frickin' suit of like armor with a mounted machine gun, except for you're carrying it. Things like that. You can get like a flamethrower outfit, shit like that, essentially. And that can change the course of what is going on in the game. But otherwise, it's a pretty standard first-person shooter fare. When it comes to the controls, those are fantastic as well. I never really had any issues with the controls being responsive, the aiming not going where I want it to go, etc., etc. The controls are great. They are textbook first-person shooter. They are flawless. They are what you want a first-person shooter to play like. And then, well, there's the graphics. This is a beautiful game. Just a stunning game, whether you're in single or multiplayer. It's a great-looking game. Not that surprising. DICE's games have generally been very good-looking games. Okay, so then there's the multiplayer, which obviously is huge to the Battlefield franchise. I mean, it's kind of the core element in reality. And unfortunately, I have very mixed feelings about the multiplayer. Originally, I thought I would truly hate the guns, you know, but in actuality, I liked the guns. I think they worked really well. There are some full auto ones. There is like a couple assault rifles in this game. There's plenty of SMGs. There's some LMGs, I guess we'll call them, even though I doubt they'd be that light. And then you've got your sniper rifles, and they all work very well. There are things you have to get used to with them, though, like the lack of modification. You can buy certain rifles so that they have like an optic on them, but you can't just slap an optic on any gun that you want to. And all of these guns have a learning curve to them, which is difficult to get used to, because I feel like it's a greater learning curve than other Battlefield games have had from weapon to weapon. You've got your standard game modes for Battlefield, you've got Rush, you've got Conquest, you've got Team Deathmatch. But then they have Domination, which I think is a complete fucking waste because, well, it's basically miniature Conquest. It's Domination from Call of Duty. I don't see the point in it. Specifically, I don't see the point of having it as its own game mode. You may as well just have, like, Conquest, but be able to pick the size of the teams, essentially. Which is something you can do in one of the new modes called Operations. You can either play 40-man or 64-man. And Operations is actually really cool. It's like a bunch of Dominations strung together. Or at least all the Operation games I played were that way. You had 2 points, you needed to capture those 2 points for a certain amount of time, or defend those 2 points for a certain amount of time. And then, whether the attacker succeeded, the map would move forward, and if you were the defenders, you would obviously move back. It is a little different from your average domination or conquest in that there are designated attackers and defenders. The only time I had any major issues with operations mode was there's a specific map, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's a bunker that is right on top of one of the objectives. And if the defenders get in there and get like 10, 15 people, so not even like the entire team, but maybe half the team, they can completely halt the attackers and just completely unbalance the game. It's a poorly balanced map. Specifically because there's two entrances and there's a big ass gun on top, and when you destroy the big ass gun you think, oh, maybe then I'll be able to like shoot in there, drop grenades in there, whatever, jump in there, do some damage. No, you can't. It remains two entrances and you cannot push that far in. Every time we thought we were making progress, we would just get wiped, and next thing you know, we have to try and retake the whole damn thing. This happened numerous times when I was playing Operations, and it didn't ruin the game mode, because the other ones were fun. It ruined that map. There's also the carrier pigeon mode, or catch the pigeon, something like that, I can't remember. And that's a pretty fun mode. There is a carrier pigeon on the map, two teams are trying to get said pigeon, and basically you grab it, you hold it as long as you can so you can write a message, and then you let the pigeon go. The enemies can try and shoot it down. I never saw that actually happen. But once that happens, that's a point for that side. It's up to 3 points. It's actually a pretty fun mode. I still have the same complaints from Conquest mode that I had from the beta. The medic is wasted in it because it's not a ticket-based system anymore. So I feel like that was just kind of completely pointless. And it's not that the medic is actually pointless, it's the fact that people feel like the medic is pointless, and they treat the medic like it's pointless, so people who like to play as the medic kind of stop playing as medic in that mode, when it can be incredibly useful to help hold on to objectives when they're under fire. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this game. Unlike Battlefield 4, it's not broken to shit at launch. It actually works, which is amazing. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you let me know if you were disappointed at the concept of Battlefield 1 because it wouldn't have, like, tactical additions to your weapons, like foregrips, suppressors, etc. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.